The killing of 30,000 backyard birds sounds like an environmental horror, but apparently not when it comes to the hated Indian Mynah. A group some call the Killer Grannies has defied the predictions of scientists and sceptics and made a major dent in Mynah bird numbers. But do those ends justify these means?
The cane toad of the air is a good description for the Mynah. It's a bird we don't want.
When ABC did their Wild Watch, must be 5-6 years ago now, Wild Watch 2, the Indian Mynah bird was the most hated feral in Australia. Beat the cane toad, beat the fox, the cat.
Honestly, I respect the bird. It is a very smart bird, and that's why it is so successful.
The common or Indian Mynah is a victim of its own success. It's naturally adaptable and aggressive, and native birds can't compete. Mynahs take over nesting sites and tree hollows. They kill chicks and destroy the eggs of natives. Left unchecked, this introduced species could become the dominant bird in Australian backyards and bushland.
You can have Indian Mynahs or native birds, but you can't have both. And the Pacific Islands really does demonstrate that. Solomons, Fiji, Hawaii, etc. Indian Mynahs and the relative jungle mynah virtually now are the only bird life you see there.
The ACT was heading in the same direction.
We have a saying in CMAG, we're not being cruel to Indian Mynahs, we're being kind to native wildlife.
CMAG is the Canberra Indian Mynah Action Group. When it started its trapping program in 2006, the mynah was the third most common species in the ACT. Now it's number 14.
Those who have reported, as of June, end of June, we had removed just over 32,000 in the ACT. And that figure might well be 38,000, 40,000 if we're counting those who hadn't bothered to report in.
It's pretty staggering sort of numbers.
It is, and I think that's why the numbers have crashed in Canberra so markedly. So, Chris, this is our the typical trap that we would use. As I said, 900 or so people have this around Canberra and Queanbeyan. Very compact but very effective. There are two tunnels, one there and one on the other side. People put dry dog food or dry cat food in the tunnel, scatter some around. The tunnel's too small for magpies, and by using dry dog food, no bread, no seed, you avoid getting rosellas and pigeons and stuff like that.
After the mynahs are trapped, they're killed using carbon monoxide from a hose connected to a car's exhaust pipe. The program and its methods have the support of the RSPCA.
There's always a tension there, Chris. People don't like, I don't know anybody that likes actually killing birds. We always have that in the back of our mind, that it's an unpleasant task, but it's a task that if we want to maintain the bush capital as the bush capital, then some of these things just have to be done.
A task that's benefited from some unlikely assistance.
We're lucky that the jail has been making traps for us for the last 12 months, and just recently they churned out their 400th, which has been a great help.
I think we're about 412 this week, so we do between 12 and 30 traps a week. So there's a very positive environment. It's very good for their self-esteem, and they actually know that they're being productive in our community.
Are there any twisted ironies? You know, people in a big cage making little cages?
Yes, I think we had some publicity back in the beginning about that, but that's positive too, because it puts a bit of a light-hearted twist to it, so that's also very good.
The trapping program is addressing the Indian Mynah problem in backyards, but the threat is still spreading, and native woodlands are particularly vulnerable. We're here at Mulligan's Flat Nature Sanctuary.
Yeah, it's an 11.5 kilometre fence around 450 hectares to keep this part native, and out there can be feral. So we're now experiencing, with houses coming right up to the fence virtually, that Indian Mynah birds are coming over and using nests here, the hollows in the trees, but feeding on the other side because they like to feed off essentially off humans, our dog food and our cat food.
So you spent a huge amount of money keeping the ferals out, but it's hard to stop
Yeah,
ferals that fly.
The fence is designed for foxes and cats and rabbits, and to keep them out, but we can't do anything about the birds, so we really need community help to do it.
That's where the killer grannies come in. That's the name invasive species expert Tony Peacock has given to the CMAG trappers.
There are scientists that definitely said there is no way on earth this can work. In the case of Indian Mynahs, it does seem that a bunch of killer grannies taking out 30,000 mynahs over 4 years has made a huge difference. And we need to find and keep researching tools for other species.
Because of our success in Canberra here, the program and our sort of approach is now taking off across New South Wales. There's about 18 groups in New South Wales that have started up, drawing on our experience.
I think the appropriate thing to do is keep researching it, finding better ways to do it, better ways to monitor, and we've got a PhD student who's looking at all those things.
So this is a site where we haven't had any trapping of the common mynah,
Yep.
and I've had about 90% of my nest boxes occupied by mynahs, which is really interesting. Basically just a video camera with a little bullet camera on the end, and I just stick it in the hole, and you can see what's going on the little LCD screen. But there we go, there's some eggs. As yet we haven't finished analysing the data, but definitely there is some positive messages coming through already, and is to show that perhaps trapping can be really effective, and that would once again drive trapping numbers and recruitment levels, and maybe be adopted by other areas and sort of get government on board, funding, and it's sort of big snowball from there, hopefully.
Does the level of community action reflect how much Canberra people care about what's happening in their backyard?
It does. The fact that we've been able to build a membership from nothing 4 years ago now to over 1,000, to me indicates that not only are Canberra people very conscious of their environment, but they want their environment to maintain as it is. They want the bush capital to remain the bush capital.